Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven development video. I am here with Roy Oshrove at the OrDev conference in Malmo, Sweden, and really thrilled to have the chance to pair with Roy. And he's got a lot of different perspectives on testing than I do, so that's a great opportunity for us to explore some of the alternatives to the way I do it.
Yeah, Windows guy versus a Java guy, who knew?
Yeah, well, not so much a Java guy actually.
What are you?
I'm a whatever my clients are using guy,
Okay.
which actually is mostly C# these days, although I do also do a fair amount of Java. I chose Java for this program because it was free and it ran on my Mac. So where we left off, we were just starting to get this test going, and so I'd like to go ahead and continue doing that.
Okay.
So we need to create this alternating row table class.
Hold on.
Okay.
Before you create it, one of the things that I like to do is to actually finish the whole test, including the asserts and whatever, and only then make it compile.
Okay, sure.
Otherwise, I might save unnecessary work that way.
I agree with that, but it may not work so well since this is a UI test. There's probably quite a bit of stuff to do just to get the test to run in the first place.
Even better, then we'll know exactly what we need to do.
Okay, so now you want to assert that this alternating row table should exist with 0 rows. Actually, though, that's not quite how Java's tables work.
Okay.
Java's tables, because it's an MVC pattern, the model determines what's inside the table. So a table, when you create it, has to be created with a model.
Oh, so we maybe should send something into the constructor.
Right, but if we do that, then we're testing the model, and that's not what we need to test.
No, but we can create a model that has 0 things.
Right.
And then we're going to say it has 0 things.
We can do that.
Okay.
I think long term, that's a fine place to start, but since what we want to test is the table's behavior, and the number of rows in the table isn't a property of the table, then we're not testing the right thing.
That's true. That's true. So, but what is the main behavior we want to test? Is it the alternation?
Yeah, it's the alternation. It's the colors of the background.
Okay, so we can start, instead we can change the name of the test and say, when you create it with a model that has just 1 row, the first row has just this color.
Perfect. I love it. And we can start out with something that we know should work to begin with. And that will help verify the test because we've got a lot of complicated test setup. So I would word that as a table with 1 row should have standard background color. What I'm thinking is that we'll have a standard and an alternating
I don't think it's the background of the table, it's the background of the row.
Yes.
So it's like a table with 1 row, or first row should have standard background color.
Okay, sure. First row should have standard background color. And then just as a note, what that's making me think is that in the future we're going to want to say something like public void second row should have alternate background color.
And I would also, in our test, would actually want to decide what is the default background color so that we can assert against it. I don't want it to be hard-coded anymore.
All right.
I can say table, and then I say table default background color equals something.
Okay, well that's interesting. Let's come back to that. I don't necessarily agree with that because that's something I'd want to be in a constant, and as I change it for look and feel reasons, I don't want to have to change my text.
Yeah, it might have a default constant, but our test should be able to control it. Because otherwise, if you assert against that background color, the reader of the test will say, well, where did that color come from? For a spike, it might be good enough, but for a real test...
Okay, well, I think once we get to that code, it will become clearer.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and make the table model.
Sure.
So
do we already have that, or
we don't have that code yet? I mean, we have. There's a class for the default table model. I just need to instantiate it. So
okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah. So I think it's called a table model. Equals new default table model. And yes, there we go.
So you just created a base class for it?
No, the way Swing works is the table model is the interface, and default table model is the default implementation of the interface.
That's where you see like the .NET guy in me looks for the I.
Yeah, you're looking for that I.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we've got the default table model. Now, I'm not really a swing expert either. It's been quite a while since I've worked, other than this project, it's been a long time since I've worked with swing. So
You're not a swinger, that's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. So I have to do a little bit of fiddling around with this as well. So the constructor takes column names. So do we want to? Okay, we can fill it with some data. So let's just do that.
But wouldn't that beat the purpose of actually using it with a model?
I don't understand. We need to put some test data in.
I'm confused. This is actually the model. Thanks, Roy. You're doing great. Yeah. Okay.
So let's just put some test data in there.
Now, when I'm using test data, I want it to be the simplest, like, non-magical data ever.
Okay, so what should we put in? Here we've got our first row.
Empty, empty, empty. Whatever that says we don't care about these strings, really.
So just plain old empty. Okay. I hope I did that right. Now this also wants some column names. Let's see if we can just put it in null. And then we'll pass that into...
Well, null is not as readable as saying some column name.
You want to have a column name then?
Yeah, I don't want to have to look at the tooltips to understand what null means.
Okay. But if I don't put in null, we will have column names. So do we want to test the case where there are column names?
Well, we have a row, so it has to have a column.
No, we actually don't.
Really?
What this does is this will create another row. So now we'll have two rows. The first row will be the column names, and the second row will be the column data.
In that case, if I don't want any columns, I would actually create a variable that is null, that is named no columns.
No column names.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So we'll call that okay, there we go. So there's our model.
That's the creation. Now what should we assert against?
Well,
I want to assert that the first row, the background of... Oh, wait. I want to tell the table what is the background color, and then I'm going to assert that the first row's background color is the same.
Well, I don't want to tell the table what its background color is. I want the table to have a default background color and just use that.
Okay. Interesting. So I can say assert that the first row's background color is whatever some static default row table background color.
And the reason I want that to be built into the table is because I'm imagining having many of these tables. I want them to all look the same. So actually, I don't see any reason for it to be programmatically controlled. It will be something that I'll fiddle with to make it look just right, and then I'll leave it.
But won't you want to fiddle with the alternating? I mean, what users usually do with UIs, they can actually control the alternating color.
Yeah, but I don't have any plans to put that feature in.
Okay. In that case, solved.
Yeah.
Next.
So, I mean, I might put it in the future, in which case I can change the test. But right now, I don't.
I'm just over-designing.
Well, maybe. Okay, so we need to assert on the background color, and I think this is where the spike comes in handy. I'm going to look at how we did this in the spike. So what I did was, this is the code that I think we need. And I'm thinking we can factor this out into a get row background color or assert against the row background color or something like that.
Can we attach that to the table class as well? To put it as a method in the table class?
The row background color?
Yeah.
That we could. That would be interesting.
And then
let's
just use it from the test directly.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to do too much at once, so let's get it working in the test first, and then move it into the production code, if it makes sense. So here we're going to get the cell renderer out of the row. I'm going to start out, just for the simplest case, I'm going to start out and just assert that the very first cell is the correct color.
That makes sense.
So
and we should have only one cell if I created test data the simplest way.
Okay, so I'll take this out, and now we have just one cell.
Perfect.
Okay, so how about we should say
first row cell?
I actually want to say table with just one cell uses standard background color. And I think we're going to come back to this, and as we continue working on it, we'll revise it. But that's what we're doing right this second.
Okay, but just as an example, when I do stuff with my naming convention, is that actually table with just one cell, then would actually put underscore after that.
Okay.
And then the second part would be, well, in this case, that the cell uses standard background color, not the table.
Okay.
And this way, it's easier to define what is the scenario, what is the expected behavior.
Okay.
Just an idea.
Yeah, sure. There's lots of different ways of naming
Yeah.
tests, and I think as long as you're consistent, I don't have a lot of opinion about which one you use.
What I found is that this kind of naming convention with the underscores between them really helps newbies in unit testing because it helps them remember the parts that are needed in a good name.
Okay.
Otherwise, the name becomes a bit less too abstract sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty non-dogmatic about how the tests are named. You've seen the way my existing code, you looked at Git, and you'll see that I use a lot of different approaches just according to what at the moment feels right to me.
I would say you're not dogmatic just by the fact that you're not doing automated tests, for example. We have to talk about that at some point.
Say what?
Automated build, sorry.
Oh, I do.
CI.
Oh, I do continuous integration. I just don't use an integration server.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay, so yeah, you can't not do continuous integration. So we've got our color here, and now we're going to want to assert
The first one is the expected one, right?
Yeah.
So it's like some static const somewhere that says what is the default background color.
How about standard background
Yep.
color?
Why not default?
Default standard background color?
Default is standard, isn't it?
Well, we're going to have the standard and we're going to have the alternating. Is that what you mean by default?
Yeah. So
Okay.
But default is the one that if you didn't specify it, that's the background color.
Okay. I don't think we are going to specify it at any point, but
Okay.
we can always change it if that doesn't work. So there's our default background color and then our actual color.
Yeah.
So that's our test,
Yep.
I think. And we're going to, I think we're going to have to do more to get this to work, but this, I think, is sort of the bare minimum that describes what we're trying to accomplish.
That's true. It might need a bit of refactoring later when it passes.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go ahead and get this to compile. At any point you want to drive, just let me know. But,
Okay.
so,
Well, making it work is where I would want you to do it, and then I will just write the next test.
okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
And that doesn't work because I forgot to put in the constructor. Let's see, and let's, that's not working because we're not extending the JTable. So right now, I'm just going to try to get it to compile without typing any code in. And then we'll create the constant, which is going to be a color, and I'm just going to put in white for now.
Beautiful.
Okay, and then we'll need to import that.
Great taste.
And we'll need to import that, and there. Now I expect this to fail, but now it compiles. So we got an array index out of bounds
It doesn't
exception.
have rows. Doesn't have any cells in it.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it? That is probably because I'm
We
guessing
don't use the model.
we do use the model. Oh, but we're not
we call the
passing.
base constructor?
We don't. You know, this bit me when I did the spike, and I spent a good many minutes on it. So that's, for everybody watching, that's why pair partners are valuable. So I'll go ahead and put that in, and let's see what we've got. Still have that array index.
Because we're trying to get, maybe we didn't send the model correctly.
Yeah, there's something, I haven't used this style of creating test data before, and I wonder if we're doing it wrong. But that is our time for this session. So next time we'll try to figure out why this test isn't working, and
Yep, we'll make it pass.
I hope you'll continue pairing with me for a few more sessions.
I would love to.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you very much to Roy Oshrove for joining me. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.